All right, everybody, welcome to the training today. We're talking about several different things, and you're probably wondering as you're looking at my screen, why in the world do we have this flow chart for the process of taking gold basically out of the earth and turning it into a gold bar. You can see this little smelting picture right here. This is kind of like a gold refining flow chart. So if you were in the business to refine gold, you would mine it here up at the start where it says from the ore pit, take it to the crushing, to screening, to the ball mill, et cetera, to where it comes out in a nice little pretty gold bar. Okay, this does have relevance to what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to get back to this here in just a second. I want to look at a couple of questions that I get over and over from clients when they're doing this program with us. I get these questions from all of you guys probably within some point that we're working together. Question number one is this, and hopefully you guys can see this on your screen right now. It says, doing drop shipping on eBay and it's not working for me. Okay, I hear this from every one of you at some point or another. I'm doing drop shipping on eBay and it's not working for me. Sales are non-existent at worst and inconsistent at best. What can I do to fix this? Okay, so maybe you've been doing the drop shipping for a little while and you've got some products listed and you're not really making money. You're not closing a lot of sales. I get that question from a lot of you. Okay, so there's that question. Then here's the other question I get from you guys. Usually later on, once you've got things going, you say doing drop shipping strategy on eBay and sales are going well. I'm closing sales on a regular basis. How do I grow it? In other words, how do I take it from just closing a few sales or making somewhat consistent sales and scale it up to where it's making really, really good, solid money? So it's two different people, right? One person is struggling, one person's doing okay, but wants to do even better. At some point or another, you all are going to probably ask these couple of questions here, but let me just answer it by saying this first. Answers to these questions right here are usually the same. Whether you're the one that's struggling or you're the one doing well, the answer to fix your problem or to improve your business is invariably the same, which might surprise you. Okay, and I basically say two things to my clients to answer these two questions. Okay, and then we'll talk about the details of both. But I say you need to refine your listings and you need to scale your listings. Whether you're struggling or doing well, you need to refine and you need to scale. Okay, so if you've got a pen and paper right there, write those two words down for me. And I'm going to describe what I mean by that here in just a sec. But I want you to refine and I want you to scale, and that's going to fix your problem, whether you're asking question number one or you're asking question number two. Okay. So let's first talk about refine. Somebody define that for me real quick. What does it mean to refine something? One of you guys that are here live with me, give it a stab. Don't Google it either, because I've got the Google definition in front of me. Don't Google it. Just give me off the cuff. What does it mean to refine? Yeah, make it better, fine tune it, improve it. Clean things up a little bit. Yep. One of you guys mentioned the title, make a better title. That's part of refining. Refining is defined kind of like this, and both definitions actually work really well for what we're talking about today. I'm going to tell you to refine your listings and refine your eBay business, and it's going to mean one and the same. So it's either to remove impurities or unwanted elements from a substance. Okay, so remove impurities or unwanted elements from a substance, typically for industrial process. Or this one is even better, improve by making small changes, in particular, make more subtle and accurate. So taking an idea or a theory or method. So in this case, that's why I kind of bring up this little flow chart right here. Okay, refining happens in lots of different industries, doesn't it? It's going to happen in your eBay business where you're going to have to refine things, but it also happens in in the oil business, right? You hear of oil refineries. This flow chart's good because if you're a producer of gold, or you're in the gold or precious metals industry, this is the process by which you take a raw piece of ore out of the mountain and you turn it into a marketable piece that you can sell, on the gold marketplace, right? And that process is not easy in most cases, especially with regards to gold. If you pull out a little strip of gold out of the earth, you've got to take that through this whole entire process, right? In order to turn it into something that you can actually sell on the marketplace. I think there's a market for unrefined gold, of course, but you guys get the point. The refining happens as you go through each one of these steps. You take it through some primary crushing, and you do some secondary crushing, right? And then it goes through the ball mill and into the gravity device and into a grinding mill and so on and so forth. And then there's some sort of an acid wash. And I don't know anything about refining gold, by the way. This example is just perfect for your guys' issues with your listings. Whether good or bad, you have to go through a refining process on your listings. Now, what does that mean for us in a practical sense? We're obviously not refining gold. We're refining our eBay listings. Well, let's just make a quick list, and I know we've done this in the past, but under our refine list right here, and we'll get to our second thing, scale, here in just a second, but if we're going to refine our listings and try to figure out why we're not selling, there's a whole lot of things that go into refining that, okay? Because I don't want to hear from you guys that the strategy doesn't work, okay? It does work, and if it's not working, there's usually a reason why, or multiple reasons why, and we need to figure out what those are. But let me just give you a list of things that we can probably do to refine our listings and tune them up a little bit, okay? So I would say the first thing, and this isn't necessarily in order of importance, but this is one of the biggest and most important things. You need to be patient with your listings, okay? And I'm saying at least 4 weeks per item. What I mean by that is you can't list a bunch of stuff 1 week. This happens a lot when you first start in the program. You list 60, 70, 80 items over your first week or two. Very few things sell, or in some cases, nothing sells, and you say, okay, well, this obviously doesn't work, right? Well, that's just because you're getting started. You need to go through the refining process, and the number one part of that process is it doesn't happen in a week. If it were that easy, everybody would be doing it, and then nobody would be making money, right? So you have to know what you're doing. So give each item, before you immediately decide it's a loser, give each item at least 4 weeks before you decide to pull it off of eBay. During that time, though, I don't review my items too much during that time. Usually around week 3 or 4, if nothing's really happening, I'll look at them and I'll try to figure out what's wrong. A couple of things that we could do is we could review and improve our titles, right? Our 80-character titles. Are they 80 characters? Are they using really good keywords? Are they written correctly? Are there keywords that you chose to use that maybe we can eliminate from the title and bring in other better alternatives? You ought to consider reviewing your titles a little bit, because that could be one of the reasons things aren't working out for you. You could adjust your price, okay? Now, from a pricing standpoint, if you're doing drop shipping, you're always going to be on the high side, okay? So don't drive yourself nuts by comparing yourself to everybody else out there. Your listings are probably going to be on the high side, and that's okay. After 3 or 4 weeks, if you have a good title and you still think the product has a shot at selling, either adjust the price up or adjust the price down. And you might think I'm crazy by saying adjust the price up, but guys, there's something called perceived value in a price. Okay, if I'm looking at a T-shirt that's priced at $4.99, That might appeal to me because I'm thinking, hey, sweet, I'm going to get a cheap T-shirt for $5, right? But a lot of times that doesn't appeal to people. People who have money, a lot of times will say, no, I don't want a $5 T-shirt. I want a $50 T-shirt because I want to pay for something that's nicer, right? So for them, cheaper isn't always better. Sometimes more expensive is better because they think because they're paying more that they're getting more. And that's, of course, not always the case, but it's called perceived value in pricing. So sometimes you need to increase your price a little bit. I know that seems counterintuitive, but I'm telling you, in the process of refining listings and refining your eBay business, you need to be doing both. Adjust price, and I'm going to say both up and down, okay? And then give it a little bit more time. Okay, let's look through to our next one here. And by the way, keep making comments. I'm going to comment on some of your comments here in just a minute. Keep the winners, okay? So a winner in that 4-week period of time would be a listing that that gets a lot of views, that gets a lot of watchers, or sells. Those you're going to keep in your store, okay? You're going to keep the winners, and then by default, forget the losers, right? Or we'll say delete the losers. Okay, take them out. So if you've given something 4 or 5 weeks and it's not getting a lot of views, no watchers, it's not selling, it's been in there, you've looked at the title, you've refined it a little bit, you've adjusted the price up or down a little bit. If that happens, replace it. You've given it enough time, replace it with something else. Okay? What else can we do? How about this? I see a lot of you guys that get stuck in a rut of the same types of products. Okay, if you're listing a lot of baby products, but you're struggling to sell them, and 80% of your store is just that, baby products, can I advise you to branch out and try some other niches? That's why a lot of times we tell you guys when you're first starting in the program to try out lots of different things. Don't just because it's getting close to February and to Valentine's Day, don't have 100% of your listings be in jewelry and gift baskets, because you know what? That holiday is going to go away, and it prevents you from finding other little niches that could work really well for you. You need to try different things. Don't get stuck in the rut of just doing what you think is seasonal. You should always be trying various niches and various different types of products. Now, to go along with that same point, okay, you need to try different suppliers too. I know at the start of the program, we tell you guys to use Walmart and Target and Amazon and Sears and some of the major big-time retail companies, but we've been talking at length over the past few weeks at the fact that a lot of people, when they start this strategy, are in fact using some of those very same suppliers, and so by default, there's more competition for those products, and it's not as easy to make sales. I would like you guys to branch out and try some different ones. My very best, most successful clients that I've ever worked with in this program have their own little set of suppliers that they use that were never necessarily recommended by one of us here. And you might say to yourself, well, wait a minute, aren't you guys supposed to tell us, what to sell and where to sell it? And yeah, to some extent we are, but at the same time, we're going to teach you how to go out and find some of these little suppliers on your own so that you can have your own little set of suppliers that aren't so used on eBay all the time, so you're not competing as much. eBay is a big marketplace, and most things on eBay are selling other places, but you can often find some suppliers that have some pretty unique stuff that aren't selling on eBay as much that'll give you a little bit of an edge. So try different suppliers. Don't tell me that the strategy doesn't work if you've only gone with like 1 or 2 suppliers and that's it. okay? You need to try different suppliers, try different products, and you'll be surprised at what will happen. I mean, several of you guys, even since we showed you a few weeks ago, we showed you the website thinkgeek.com for Star Wars stuff and for other quote unquote geeky products, right? So I've heard several reports of a lot of sales coming back from some of you guys that decided to branch out and try something new. That could be your problem. You're not trying out different suppliers, okay? I'm going to say next one real quick. Hold on. We're going to say H and I. H is going to be, have you tried wholesale drop shippers? Okay, the retail drop shipping isn't the only thing we do. There's wholesale companies that do some drop shipping. Have you tried them? Have you looked for them? Have you tried various ones? That's something to consider. And then I think last but not least, one thing I'd recommend at some point, once you get things going, try doing your own inventory. Buy a little product out of China. Use AliExpress. Use some of the international product sourcing that we teach here. I know this doesn't appeal to all of you guys, and you don't all have to do your own inventory if you don't want. You want to just do drop shipping, just do drop shipping. But this strategy right here has made me and a lot of my clients pretty good money over the years. That's something you could consider to either fix your business or improve your business, to scale it up. Now, that leads me to number 2. So when I answer these questions, and our original questions, you remember them up here, my selling is non-existent or inconsistent. What do I do to fix it? Or I'm selling well, how do I grow it? We said, okay, you need to refine your listings, number 1, and we just defined what that meant by this little list that I'm showing you right here. And I mean, if you think about it as a process like this, as you refine over the months, the weeks, months, and years, you're going to find that you have a store that's chock full of products that sell on a fairly regular basis. Some maybe monthly, some weekly, some bi-weekly. But you'll have a store full of good winners that sell on a regular basis, and you're going to be weeding out all the garbage, just like in this refinement process, they're weeding out all the impurities in the gold before it goes to market, right? It's very much analogous. Okay, so let me just read through some of your comments first. Yeah, okay. Lawrence said, I see the hits on certain items increasing even after 4 weeks, so I relist them. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, Bracky, I hear you. Some items are just going to get more views than others, certainly. And if you've got a lot of seasonal stuff, especially if you're gearing up for warmer weather, outdoor furniture, springtime stuff, that'll come. That's one of my favorite markets on eBay. Okay. Bracky says, you're right about pricing things up. I upped all my prices $5 each on a line of automotive lights I have on eBay and sold some shortly afterwards. Isn't that crazy the way that works? It's perceived value. You know, it happens all the time. We're planning a vacation with my 2 kids and my in-laws in May. We're going to be going out to California for a little bit, and we were looking at hotels, right? We're looking at hotels, and there was one that we found that was really cheap, right? Like way cheaper than everything else. But as I looked at the pictures and stuff online, it looked pretty nice. And so in my mind, I was like, what's the catch? Like, is this hotel in the middle of some dangerous place? You know, is was there a murder in the hotel recently that I don't know about, right? Why is it priced so low? And so, you know what, we didn't go there. We found a different place. And so sometimes, like, you look at something and it's cheaper, and your immediate thought is, well, what's the catch? No, I don't want to do that. I'm willing to pay for something. And that's why that pricing up strategy sometimes does work. Vicky says, if you have a lot of views and a few watchers, would it be good to relist? Absolutely. Anytime I get watchers, I'm relisting. Jeff says, could we consider auction versus buy it now? Yeah. I mean, you could try auction. I don't know. I don't know if that's a factor that really changes things too much. I mean, I don't have any data to say that it does. I've always kept with buy it now for the most part. So it could be something that you try. I don't have any evidence to say that it would help one way or the other. Glad you needed this, Vicky. Yep, that's a good point. Lawrence says some wholesalers don't allow the selling of products on eBay. Yep, that's true. Just be careful about your wholesalers' policies. When an item sells, it's automatically dropped from active. Do you have to go relist it? Yes, you do, unless you put that you have inventory on it, Russell. Because you can list items with inventory so that when they sell, they stay up. I don't recommend doing that right off the bat until you get an item that sells on a regular basis, especially because it's not a big deal just to relist. Boom, relist it, right? 2 clicks and it's done. Jeff says, my mentor tells me to only do free shipping items. How do I sell bigger items that would have a shipping charge, and how do we figure that in? It depends on the supplier altogether, Jeff. But I tend to agree. Free shipping is such a selling point for people. In the year 2016, when we're trying to sell online like this. So I would agree with your supplier. You've got to figure out a way to estimate that shipping. You can usually estimate worst case scenario. You can figure out where your supplier is located versus, where the farthest point from their office is, and get kind of an estimate and then build that shipping cost right in. I've got suppliers in the spring that I'm doing outdoor furniture, and luckily, even with larger items like those, the shipping is free. So it just kind of depends on your supplier. But you ought to be able to still build in a really good estimate and come up being on the positive end of that estimate most times. Listing fees are an issue, Lawrence, for sure. If you're doing lots of listings, if you're doing over 50 in a month, you're going to get charged 30 cents per each additional one. Get an eBay store if that becomes a problem. You pay $20 a month for it, and you get 200 plus free listings, and it's for the person who's listing a lot more. It just depends on the circumstances, though. Okay, so this is the refining process we've been talking about, right? Refine your listings. So if you ever hear your coach say that, or if I ever say that to you, that you need to refine those retail listings, this is the process that we're talking about right here. Now let's talk about number 2 here for just a second. We're going to talk about scaling for a minute. If I tell you guys to scale it, this is kind of what I'm talking about. Look at this picture right here. Now in this case, they're using users. Think of that as products instead. If you're going to scale something up, you're going to increase the size of it, right? You're going to do it on a grander scale. If you scale it down, you're going to shrink it. You're going to do it on a smaller scale. So if I tell you to take an idea and scale it up, I'm basically saying take what you're doing right now, but do more of it, right? If you're closing a few sales with 60, 70, 80 listings that you're currently refining, and you're doing a good job refining, and you're finding good sellers, scale it up and turn those 80 listings into 160, or 160 into 320, or 320 to 640, or whatever, right? Double it. Keep increasing it. Because again, this strategy, if you're primarily hanging your hat on a drop shipping strategy, within eBay. You can't do it with just a few items in your store. You've got to do it on a grander scale, or else it just won't work. I mean, I don't know anybody who's ever done drop shipping, even with a good supplier, that's only had 25 or 30 items in their store and has been able to make any sort of a real living off of it. You have to have a lot more than that. So what does that mean? If you're going to scale, you've got to make sure you're fast. You know, your listing speeds are good. That's why we always talk about those. We talk about maybe at some point, if you get so busy and so good at it, you can even hire somebody part-time, 5-10 hours a week, hire a college kid or a high school kid, pay him minimum wage, pay him a percentage of sales, and have them list for you. Okay, you can do that too while you're busy working on other things. But scaling needs to take place. You can't do it with just a few listings, okay? You need to do it on a grander scale. Okay, well, I think we're going to conclude with that today. Guys, we've talked about 2 questions that if you haven't asked them already, you're going to ask them. And I hope today, to some extent, at least on a high level, we answered those questions. You can improve your business and grow it by doing the very things we talked about. And you can fix your business from not working or not working very well to working very well if you'll refine and do the things we talked about today. Okay? Real quick, I'll leave it open for questions for just a minute, and then we're going to finish up. Also, remember, I'll send out the survey after this, so I'd love all of you guys to take part in it if you can. And then just so you know, next week we'll be doing eBay at the same time, same place. The schedule's posted online for most of the webinars, so you guys can see what you're able to get to. Okay? Okay, good. Well, I think we're going to finish up there. If there's something you need, contact your coach directly. I hope this was helpful. It should be. It should be for all of you guys, no matter if you're new or have done this for a while. I think this will really help you out. Jeff says really quick, where do we go to fix the tax stuff? Remember, it's under My Account, so under your account section, then under Site Preferences, then under Payment from Buyers. That's the order to get there. Great. Yeah, and if you did the one yesterday, go ahead and do the one for today as well. We won't send these surveys all the time, but on occasion we will, and we'd appreciate if you'd fill them out. Yeah, Bracken, we actually have a training on that on our site. I don't have time to cover it now because it's a little bit of a more complicated. It's not complicated. I shouldn't say that, but it'll take more time than we have. On the site, there's something that shows you how to decide if it's time for you to get an eBay store. I'm just gonna give you a link here. Let me see if I can find it. I think it's this one right here. Yeah. If you Google eBay store subscription like this, it's the very top link here when you Google that. And this gives you all the information you need to know on setting up a store. And at the very bottom, it gives you this eBay Stores Saving Illustrator where you can see if a store is right for you. So this would be a good place to look if you're considering a store. We'll do more training on this as we go along. All right, awesome, guys. Hey, thanks for coming along today. Have a great weekend, and we will see you all next time.